Whether you are shopping, dining, or doing business in Stillwater, we would like to take the opportunity to let you know about public parking in 3 areas around Stillwater: downtown Stillwater, Campus Corner, and the Strip on Washington Street. In these areas, many of the free city parking spots, mostly in the street, are timed. Time ranges from 30 minutes to 3 hours Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., and these spaces are not timed on weekends and city-recognized holidays. The purpose for these timed parking spots is to give everyone equal opportunity to a parking space, which is not only good for other people visiting these areas, but is a benefit to the businesses in these areas as well. Now, say for instance you're cited for overtime parking as you're inside a business. Well, instead of paying the $10 citation, you can easily bring it back to one of more than 200 businesses in these 3 areas to have the ticket validated. All you have to do is give them the ticket and that's it. They'll take care of the rest. For more information about public parking spaces, the validation program, or tickets, call the municipal court at the City of Stillwater at 405-742-8255 or visit stillwater.org.
This is Kyle Gibbs with the Stillwater Police Department. When parking in a timed parking space around Stillwater, you may notice a chalk mark on your tire. Parking enforcement uses the chalk marks to monitor vehicles. A parking attendant will mark a vehicle and return later to see if the mark is still present. If your parking time is almost up, move your vehicle to another spot. The attendant will notice the mark changed and faded and will not write a citation. If your parking time is almost up, do not attempt to remove the mark. Removing the mark will result in a fine of $549. This has been a public service announcement from the Stillwater Police Department and the City of Stillwater.
Yes.
I hate this.
Welcome to the February 2nd, 2016 meeting of the Stillwater Planning Commission. I'll call this meeting to order. Without objection from other Planning Commission members, I'd like to go to item 3A, which is John Green Civic Use Permit PZ-16-2048. The public hearing for this specific use permit at 3014 South Main Street was noticed on February 2nd, 2016 with the Planning Commission. Due to additional statutory notice to property owners within a quarter mile, staff asked the hearing be postponed to February 16th, 2016. So if you're here for item 3A on the agenda, I believe we're going to postpone that to 2 weeks from now. I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Let's vote.
Because I have the voting software set up in a specific way on this, I'll have to just take a call vote.
That is great.
Mr. Bucher,
Yes.
Mr. McCune,
Yes.
Mr. Marlar,
Yes.
Mr. Krzyjak,
Yes.
Ms. Ross,
Yes.
Mr. Rickleman.
Yes.
Now, without objection, I want to skip to 4A. Further confuse that person to the left, which is City of Stillwater Land Development Code Amendment. This is form-based code section of Chapter 23. Due to a need in further study, proposed changes, staff asks that the hearing be postponed to February 16th, 2016. So if you're for item 4A on the agenda, I believe we're going to postpone that for 2 weeks. I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Bucher,
Yes.
Mr. McCune,
Yes.
Mr. Marlar,
Yes.
Mr. Krzyjak,
Yes.
Ms. Ross,
Yes.
Mr. Rickleman.
Yes.
I'm going to go back to 2A, your update on economic development initiatives. Good evening.
Good evening. Try to keep this quick. It looks like you guys got a full house tonight. Let's see here. My name is Angela McLaughlin. I'm the Economic Development Director for the City of Stillwater, and I was asked by Ms. Dennison to come and just give a quick update on what we're working on in my world and some things that will definitely affect the Planning Commission. So just to give you a heads up, as I go along, if you have any questions or you want me to slow down, which is hard for me at times, just put your hand up and tell me to pause. Going to start tonight with the downtown project. Staff is referring to this as Lot 34. I'm sure many of you are aware of this project. We've done several public meetings. Just a quick background. On April 15th, the city sent out a request for qualifications for the urban planning, an urban planner to come in. We've picked that urban planner, that is ADG and Pegasus. I'm sure some of you are probably aware of this. After looking at the site, we know that there's sufficient space to configure a quality mixed-use development, which is kind of what they're looking at right now. We do have a project page up currently on the stillwater.org website, so if you would like more information about kind of what has happened in that timeline. I know there's a lot of dates in there, but basically this just kind of gives you a quick background of how the urban planner was selected. Some of the criteria is also on our project page, and the meetings that have happened just recently. We've had 2 different sessions of public meetings, and we're getting ready to do another round. Our next round, of public meetings will be February 22nd and 23rd at the Stillwater Public Library. The first being from 4 to 6, the second being from 6 to 8 p.m. These meetings are going to be exactly the same, and at that time, ADG will have some concepts for the public to look at. You are all invited. I have some invite cards to give to you before I leave. But again, we really want as many people as we can get in that room to look at the concepts, to give your input and feedback, your ideas. They'll bring that back, and hopefully we'll have something to present to the council in the next few months. This has been an exciting project to work on. Staff has worked really hard with the urban planning group. We've had a lot of good public input. People really are engaged in this project. They want to know what's happening downtown. It's their downtown, so they really care about it. So please feel free. We'll forward an email out to you. If there's anybody that you would like to invite to those meetings, please do so. Again, I have some comment cards and some reminders that you can send out to the public. Also, again, our project updates will be placed on the Stillwater website, so if you want to know what's going on or some more background, feel free to look at that. As we're talking about downtown, I'm sure many of you are aware of our Business Improvement District. It was established in August of 2007. It's hard to believe, but we're coming up on that 10-year mark, and with the 10-year mark, that means that we will have to go back for vote for a renewal with the council. Some of the things that we'll be looking at this year and going into that renewal is any boundary changes, incentive changes, the special overlay district. We will be doing a study session, hopefully this month, at the latest next month, with our current Business Improvement District Board to look at all that information. Of course, if there are any major changes, especially with the overlay district, that will have to be brought back to the Planning Commission to look at. So if you do have any concerns or have any questions about that bid renewal process, you can always give those to Paula and she can forward that to me. It's a pretty lengthy process, and we're going to take August of 2016 to August of 2017 to really get this out to the public. We hope that it'll have a lot of support. We feel like the bid has done great things for downtown, so we definitely want to see that continue. I was also asked to just give a quick update on the West Side Tax Increment Financing District that we're looking at. Currently, here's a map. This is a rough outline of the area that the committee is currently looking at. Nothing is set in stone. We hope that, well, the committee hopes to have that recommendation to you, I think, by this month. Hopefully the end of this month you'll be seeing something. A little bit of background on that area. We're talking around 200, a little over 200 acres, minus the easements, landscaping, parking requirements. You can see that we're looking at hopefully around 2.5 million in square footage that we would add in that area. We are looking at a 20-year TIF. And trying to assume on the conservative side that we would have 50% development in that area. It's important the public knows that even if the district is formed, it doesn't guarantee any incentives will ever be given out. This is just a way to do so. It gives us that mechanism in place if there is one that comes along that the city feels like it's necessary to make a project happen. Again, the committee will be bringing you the recommendation on this. Tonight, it's just a quick overview of where it's at. They've met several times, and we would hope to get this to you by this month. So I was asked to give a quick overview. It's pretty quick, right? You're impressed? If you have any questions, I'll try to answer those. I'll also give you some reminder cards about that public input session. You can always email me or get a hold of Paula, and she can send those along. So fire away.
Any questions?
Nope.
Really? All right. I'm going to give you some public input cards. Again, we would ask that when you receive that email from the mayor about those public input meetings that you share. We really want to get both those meetings as full as we can with everybody in Stillwater if possible. That input is so valuable for those two blocks. So many people are passionate about what's going to happen with the community center and that vacant land. So feel free to share and encourage people to attend.
Do.
I have plenty more, so feel free to pass out. Yeah, no problem. Thank you. I've got one out. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Item 2B, presentation of commercial activities and housing starts 2014-2015.
Good evening, Paula Dennison, Development Services. On the what all is going on around in Stillwater's future, we thought that we might want to step back a little bit and give the presentation that we have brought to y'all a couple of times before of what all has been happening in the Stillwater area. So I'll just go through this PowerPoint. Again, if y'all have questions of me, stop and let me know. What you see up on the screen is just a idea of the last 2 calendar years, 2014 and 2015, of where all of the commercial development and activities have occurred. The light blue indicates dining, the hot pink is retail, green housing, and the red is going to be your miscellaneous. So, what all consists of dining? Y'all can see these in the last 2 years. These are the new and or relocated establishments that have come into Stillwater. Pretty good selection there, wide variety, and as you could see on the map, they're located all across the community. They're not just in one particular location or heavily concentrated. The retail you'll see on the right side of the screen, and these are, again, Bill Knight Ford is where it used to be Owen Thomas Ford, and the Wooden Nickel is relocated and expanded. And in case anybody's wondering what's being built behind Atwoods on Lakeview Road, that's the new Goodwill store. Housing in the green. Up here in the top, we've had a number of fraternities and sororities either rebuild or come to Stillwater new and fresh. The middle section can pretty much indicate the multifamily, the really urban style developments in particular that we have had. We have the Primrose and the Ranch are the senior living facilities. Primrose is on the west side of town. The Ranch is proposed and under review on the north side of town. And then Berry Creek and Ideal Homes, along with parts of Copper Creek, are the single family or the lower density multifamily. And in the orange showing up here are the miscellaneous. Number of things: Holiday Inn, Hampton Inn, Spring Hill Suites, and Home 2 Suites. Those are the 4 hotels that are either currently under construction or are soon to be permitted. Y'all can remember a few years ago, we had a number of hotels come in and be built pretty close time to each other, and this is happening again. So those are the hotels. Pope Distributing has built a new and expanded facility up around the Land Run area. The Billy Goat Ice Cream Company started here in Stillwater. Brad could tell us a lot more about that in case y'all are interested. Y'all can pick his brain when we're finished here. Of course, you know the medical center, the expansion, and all the work that they're doing on the south side of 12th Avenue. Oklahoma State, the presentation that Mr. Bucher gave to the Planning Commission a couple of months back, and all of the activity there. Other things going on, and of course Stillwater, we have our energy center out at Jardo and Airport, and we also have the splash pads that will be coming in. So there's a lot of activity. Then focusing what Angela talked about, the downtown, the bid area, these are the establishments in the last, again, 2 calendar years in the bid area. So all of Stillwater, and that's what I love to show, is so much of Stillwater, it's sharing in the growth and the development, not solely concentrated in one area or another of the community. So with that, 19 dining establishments, 15 retail, 16 housing, and 17 miscellaneous. It's pretty good over a 2-year period in Stillwater, Oklahoma. So now switching to new housing construction. We also have brought these before y'all a couple of times, and in this same period, the calendar years 14 and 15, 224 new housing starts within the corporate limits of Stillwater. We found it to be quite interesting that over half of the new housing starts are south of Highway 51, and of those, over half are west of Western Road. So that's the highest concentration in the very southwest area of the community of where the new housing starts have been during this 2-year period. And Tom put this together for me, and he wanted to throw in a couple of data facts for the Planning Commission. Since 2001, this is our single-family housing permits. Y'all can see that during the most recent lean years, we have really gotten a little bump in 2015 coming out of that. We're still anxious to see how things are going in 2016, but so far they're going very well for new housing starts even in 2016. And from the commercial standpoint, a lot of commercial information that we gather is based on valuation of the project when it comes in. Y'all can see that 2015, we have had the highest valuation, close to $90 million since 2000. And this does not count the energy center, the Stillwater Energy Center. If the energy center was thrown in here, then the bar would be off the chart here. We're also very excited that currently we have about $65 million that is under review currently within the city of Stillwater. And that's for this year that's under review, has not yet been permitted. So there's a lot of hope here in Stillwater, and we're excited to see these numbers as they come in. Any questions on any of this that I've presented?
Any questions? Thank you very much. We appreciate the update.
Yes, my pleasure.
2C, next Planning Commission meeting is February 16, 2016. At that Planning Commission, we've already deferred item 3A and item 4A. So if you're in the audience and want to speak on those two items, they have already been deferred until February 16th. Let me go to item 3B. Monopoly Brothers Preliminary Plat PZ 15-2002 requesting review and approval of preliminary plat of 27-acre parcel addressed 1798 North Payne Street to create 133 residential lots. Before you begin, I'd like to make some couple of statements to the audience. We have a sign-up sheet for you to sign up whether you're in opposition or in favor of this. We would like you to sign up. Our major reason for you to sign up is for us to spell your name correctly. I will go by this sign-up sheet, and then I will open it to anybody else that would like to speak. So if you personally don't feel that that you want to sign up, but you still want to speak, you will have that opportunity tonight. When you speak, you will be limited to 5 minutes. I request that if a previous speaker brought up points, that you do not bring up those points again. I'll put the sign-up sheets over here, so if you want to come up and sign up, you can. You can go with your presentation.
Good evening, Patty Evans, Development Services, and like Mike said, we are talking about a preliminary plat called East Skyline. It's located at 1798 North Payne Street. The location of it is, it's located between Jardo, which is right here, and Skyline. And the east-west street is Sunrise, and then Crayler, which ends right here currently. The zoning of the property is RSS, small lot, single family, and along the east property line, if you can see the little darker yellow right here, that is RT, 2-family or duplexes. The surrounding zoning to the north is agriculture. There's 2 properties. To the east, we have industrial, light industrial, agriculture. From the southeast corner, along the south boundary line, and along the west is RSS, small lot, single family. The light blue over to the west, right here, is Skyline School. It's zoned public. And you notice that there is a lighter yellow down here, which is RSL, and that is large lot single family. The one thing that distinguishes large lot, small lot, of course, is the size of the lots. A large lot is 10,000 square feet, or a small lot single family is 5,000 square feet. RT is 7,500 square feet for the duplexes. This is a more colorful version of the plat that you have in your packet. Again, I'm going to point out the streets. This is Skyline. East-west is Sunrise. This is Payne. Jardeau is over here just off the side of the paper. And then we have Crayler up here. There's 133 total lots. 115 of them are single family. That's the yellow ones. The purple are the RT, or the duplex two-family lots. And the three green lots are the outlots, which are detention areas that will be used for the drainage. I'd also like to point out the access points. There are 4. Crayler up here on Skyline. We have Moore Avenue off of Skyline, Payne Street, and Crayler is going to go through the subdivision, connect over here with RJ, which RJ is a small, narrow, partially gravel road. And the plat shows that it will be widened and paved along with Crayler, and it has an outlet onto Jardeau.
So it'll be widened and paved by this developer?
Yes. And also, Payne Street, I showed you from coming up from the south, will make a jog and then continue through the middle of the development up to Crayler. Then we also have 2 other additional streets that are, as of now, unnamed. In your packet, you had 2 letters from citizens that brought up some concerns, and I want to touch on some of those concerns and give just a short answer to each one. The first one, the stormwater and drainage. A preliminary drainage study and plan comes in with a preliminary plat that has been accepted and approved. A final drainage plan will be submitted with the final plat. The access points, I showed you the 4 access points and the circulation. The lot square footage. The lots do meet the RSS and RT lot size requirements. There was a question about the cost of roads. Someone was concerned about the ground being too wet, needed to be dug deeper, different kind of paving, so forth. I wanted to point out that all of the developments, all improvements are at the developer's responsibility. So the city will not be footing any of those bills.
And you have requirements on the thickness of the road and the base of the road that's already in our standards?
Yes, that is correct. Number 5, the degradation of Payne Street. If constructions or the improvements have the negative impact on Payne Street that come from the construction, it is the developer's responsibility on repaving that portion of, that has been affected.
Is that the judgment of the city staff, or who would be the judgment?
Yeah, all the streets are looked at before development begins, and then looked at again through the process. And if staff sees anything happening, then they will be responsible for it. Number 6, somebody was concerned about the rezoning or a map amendment of the property. Well, the property is already zoned correctly for the development, and the applicant has not requested a map amendment. Number 7, environmental impact study. An environmental impact study is not required. The citizen was concerned about the American burying beetle that is, I believe, is on the endangered species list. And we contacted Oklahoma Department of Wildlife Conservation. There is no American burying beetle in Payne County at this time, so there is no concern on that. Number 8, about the wetland status. It's not currently identified as a wetland. It's not been evaluated as a wetland status, and there are stringent requirements to meet a wetland status. Number 9, the sewers. What impact would this development have on the sewer system and water system? A water demand analysis will be submitted with the improvement plans with the final plat. And the developer will have to meet the requirements that are listed in our code and standards. Sometimes the developer has to upgrade the system in order to meet those requirements. So we have to wait for that impact study. And number 10, will there be any tax credits or waiver any fees? And no request has come in to waiver any fees or knowledge of any tax credits applied for, and we do not have ability to waive those fees, so those will not be done. And the last one, negative impact on students. Somebody was concerned about students walking across the street to Skyline School. Well, normally or typically, schools are located in neighborhoods where you have a lot of homes. I mean, that's the ideal situation for young families who have children that are looking for a home near a school. So this would be an ideal use for the property. Staff findings include the proposed preliminary plat is compatible with the C3 plan of low-density residential. The proposed preliminary plat appears to be consistent with all applicable city codes. Number 3, the proposed preliminary plat would utilize public streets, sidewalks, and utilities. And number 4, the existing zoning is correct for the proposed preliminary plat. Are there any questions?
Any questions from the staff?
I have one quick question.
Okay.
It said under our notes, the adequate public facility finding, it said sidewalks will be provided on unbuildable lots at the time of construction of the improvements.
All right.
Who deems that it's unbuildable?
Okay, like the, let me go back to the map, or the plat. This area here is part of the property, so, but it doesn't have any lots. Usually when the lots are developed and the house is built, that's when the sidewalk goes in. Any unbuildable lot, like, or land like this area here, or the 3 outlots, the developer's going to have to go ahead and put the sidewalk in there.
Before building permits are issued, or at what time frame?
That comes in with the improvement plans, and so when the improvement plans are approved and built, and we get as-built and so forth, those sidewalks have to be in.
Any other questions from the Planning Commission? Can you hand me the sign-up sheets? I will open the public hearing. And we will have people in favor of the preliminary plat speak first. You are limited to 5 minutes. Mr. Josh Powers. Okay. You're the only person that's signed up. Is anybody else that'd like to speak in favor of the preliminary plat? Not seeing anyone else in opposition to preliminary plat? Mr. Alexander. You would state your name and address?
Ken Alexander, 1109 Greystone. I have some questions, more than anything else. So, and I may just actually read some of these and then either have Josh or somebody answer these questions. We haven't had anybody contact. Again, I own the buildings RJ and the big 30,000 square foot warehouse, which would be to the east of this property. RJ Street right now is not paved. It would, I guess they're going to actually extend Crayler Avenue through our buildings. We don't know if that's a dedicated road or an easement. Again, RJ is not paved. It is going to interrupt our leases, which we have all those buildings leased. This is kind of where Coaster Works is right now. Again, Barry Patton and I own all those buildings. The other thing is it needs to be coordinated very well when and if they do paving streets and how we're going to get access to that. The sewer comes from way off site. I mean, it comes from probably maybe a half a mile away off, and it has to also come up through RJ, and that's the only way that this property will sewer. Again, we have 5 buildings right now. There's a lift station that connects these 5 buildings, and it also carries a force main behind right here in these purple lots. That's how we get it. Again, we're concerned about some of the sidewalks on North Jardeau. We're also concerned about how they're going to tie and widen the road and the culvert. This property right now is served all by CREC. There is no public utilities on RJ. Now, the big warehouse is served by the city of Stillwater Utilities. A little bit concerned on how they're going to do the drainage detention, and I know this is a preliminary plat, but a lot of questions need to be answered. Not totally opposed to it, because I think it'll absolutely help this side of town. There is no sewer, so just a little bit of a concern because nobody talked to us about it. I mean, it shows up in the preliminary plat, so that's where I'm concerned. Okay, thank you. Do you have any questions of me? I mean, I'm the one that owns all the property to the east.
Anybody have any questions? If nobody has any questions, the staff will comment after all the speakers. I'm not good at the English language, so I'm sure I will mess up the next speaker, Mr. Matthew Wyckoff. Thank you.
First of all, thanks for having me. I own the property on North Payne, where the stub of Payne is on the west side. So there's quite a few concerns because all of the water that drains from the west, from the west down Sunrise and from the south down Payne currently pours right down Payne to that stub and then runs halfway across my property, across the easement, halfway across the property line, and then back to north to that creek and pond. So I'm very concerned about how the drainage and how they're going to handle that, because if they don't, then it's going to back up the water, any drain, any runoff, directly on the easement, which is where all the power, cable, utilities are buried. This is all the utilities in this neighborhood are underground. There's electrical poles on the front side of the property, but that doesn't feed anybody in the neighborhood. So all the utilities are in the ground right where this water would be backed up onto. So it's a huge importance to note that. The second thing that I'm really concerned about is the population density and the exits of this plat. 3 of the 4 proposed exits, Payne, Moore, and Crayler, exit into 20-mile-an-hour school zone. I have driven around to all other schools that I know of in the city of Stillwater that are in communities, and this is the only one where the majority of the exits are all in 20-mile-an-hour school zones. It was brought up to me over on 6th Westwood is one that's in a similar population density, but only one exit from by that school, exits in a school in a 20 mile an hour. There's an entrance in the 20 mile an hour. The two roads on either side of it are north and south one way. But every other exit out of that neighborhood is outside the school zone, outside of the 20 mile an hour school zone. So I'm concerned of the traffic flow coming out of this neighborhood at 8 o'clock in the morning when people are getting their kids to school, when all the exits, other than one over on RJ, are going to be exiting right into the school zone where the buses run, where people are bringing their kids to school, etc. If you look south of the property, you'll notice that everything is acre lots. So if they did that in this, that would be 27 properties. If they did the size of my lot, there would be 54. We're talking 133 total. I mean, that is more than double what the population density is of any of adjacent properties next to it. So that's that's a huge concern to me, because you'll be putting a ton of people in here, and in the smallest lots I believe that the city even allows. So I know it's all RSS and I know it's all to code, but it's the smallest possible lots in this area and in Stillwater. I don't think there's other than going with something like Prime Place or an apartment complex that you could get any higher population density. So those are the two biggest concerns I have with the planning of this plat in its location with its utilities and exits. The final concern that I have is on access to the property during construction. And I bring this up simply because when they redid Sunrise after the destruction, or after they built the track around the school, they rebuilt Sunrise. Well, they closed off my street multiple times. There were days I had to wait for them to move heavy equipment to get out of my parking, out of my driveway. Okay, not to mention the neighbor across Payne from me, directly east, is 99 years old. Okay. So if a ambulance had to get in there, at the time there was no way for an ambulance to get up to his driveway. I asked the developer multiple times to move the equipment and was unsuccessful and laughed at. Okay, I talked to city employees and was told it's under control. So that is the other concern I have, and the only other concern I have. But we need to make sure that we have some way where they cannot park their heavy equipment blocking the street during even opening up the property to get into it.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Beth Hawkins is next.
Can you guys see that map? Like, we can see it right here. Can you all see it? The plat, the preliminary plat, that you guys can see the lot size and everything. Do you see that image? It's right here, but I don't know if you can see it. Because I want to bring to your attention the lot size. Like, my lot is 100 by 150. And they're saying, I think that actually qualifies for the large lot, like 15,000 square feet. So my lot, which backs up to it, so my lot would be on that south side. It would be, you look at Payne Street in the middle, so I would be 3 to the west, but we also have the lot to the east of us. So I will actually, here's my backyard right now. This is what I see. All that water drains down there, we're gonna have now 5 houses right behind us. Instead of just having 1 house on a normal development behind you, I'm gonna have 5 homes behind me. And to me, that's not a smart way to develop an area. It should be equal size, in my opinion. The lots should be the equal size. So to me, we need to get comparable size lots. My lot, the width is 100. So the width of our lots there on the south side are 100 feet. I also just don't want it. I don't want it because it's my backyard. We've used that for 20 years. My husband's mowed it for 20 years. Our tree houses were back there for 20 years. So I don't like it. The lots are too small. Our street size on Sunrise, to the south on Sunrise, our street size is not up to city code. The city built it 5.5 years ago, and it's only 20 feet wide. You all know that code is 26 feet. So to add more homes and accessing a 20-foot wide street is not a good idea. Okay? You guys have too many planned plots, in my opinion. But you all mentioned Skyline School. It's not just Skyline School, it's the junior high also. So we are transporting 1,500 students every day across these areas. Right now it's Sunrise and Skyline, but now you're going to add 132 more lots and that many more people into that area. So, do you guys have any questions for me?
What street did you say was 20 foot wide?
Sunrise. Sunrise Street is 20 foot wide. There's no curbs. The buses, I mean, if you drive down there right now, I'd love for you guys to come visit. If you guys go out drive right now, it's been muddy, you know, today, and the buses, there's not even enough room for them to pass. And so they just drive on the dirt, basically, because there's no curb. So there's just not enough room. So basically, I'm asking for the same size lots. Okay. And drainage. As you guys see, right behind my house, like Matt was talking about, it drains. It's just a big pond right behind our house. It's just, and I know they're saying that's going to drain to those retention ponds, but it just stays, like Matt's saying, just right behind our homes. It just sits there. So that's all I have.
Any other questions? Simon Ringsmith.
I have a few handouts for the Planning Commission members. Take a good time to listen to us tonight. Thank you very much. Good evening. Thank you for having public comments on this. A few things I'm going to say are going to be slightly redundant, and I apologize for that. I want to focus on a couple things here on your handouts. I'm going to go left to right, starting in the top left corner. The Skyline East proposal, as we've talked about tonight, is significantly higher density than the rest of the neighborhood. I'm going to illustrate for you that. I'm going to illustrate that point for you in just a minute here. We're talking 130 to 133 new houses, bordered by 27 on the same block, but we're going to come back to that in a second. We've already talked about increased neighborhood traffic. We've talked about how the streets are already squeezed tight. There's very little off-street parking for existing cars. The traffic flow on Crayler is severely constricted. One of the exits from this is west on Crayler, and if you drive west on Crayler, getting to the Lakeview Plaza, there's cars all over the place parked on there, and you add this quantity of houses, we'd have to double the width of Crayler to accommodate all these cars that are going to go out Crayler because it's already jammed with cars parked on both sides of it. The Monopoly Brothers developer, this is the first development of this size and scope. And the goals for this project are admirable. I have nothing wrong with Monopoly Brothers building this type of development, but just not here, not in this location. We were here in the same room about 4 years ago with the Aspen Heights development, and John Bartley at the time said it was the right project and the wrong location, and that echoes our sentiment towards this project as well. There's flooding and drainage issues that we talked about. The neighborhood infrastructure is not equipped to handle this massive increase in traffic, not just on Crayler, but on Payne and the other streets. Jardeau and Lakeview, they're not equipped to handle the massive increase in traffic. But what I want to focus on for a few minutes is how the development is contrary to the plan that is outlined in the Stillwater Vision 2030 document. I'm going to highlight a few of those points for you, such as enhancing community character through architectural and design standards, and meeting community expectations regarding other important issues such as sidewalks, streetlights, and housing types. The red highlighted area you see is a selection from the 2030 proposal, and it discusses specifically the preservation of community character. I can't stress that enough. This destroys community character. If you go to this neighborhood, you're going to see a character that is significantly different from what this development would do to the community. And if that is a goal of Stillwater for 2030, you can check that off. It's done because it's not going to happen with this development. It will ruin community character. On the next page, you'll see that another goal for 2030 is to guide future growth and development and enhance community character. Sort of the opposite. Not just protect community character, but enhance community character. This doesn't enhance our community character. I promise you, if you come to the neighborhood, you don't see anything like this. And I will outline specifically for you how this doesn't do that. Finally, on the next one, promote preservation of existing foliage. We brought this issue up to the developer. We had a neighborhood meeting with the developer at our request. The developer met with us, so we applaud him for that. One of the residents specifically asked about preserving the trees behind her property, and I'm sorry, but the developer laughed and said, "I wouldn't hold my breath." That tells me that the developer is not taking our concerns seriously, which is why we're here tonight. The Skyline East proposal, the current lot contains many trees, shrubs, and other foliage that are on the boundary of the residents' lots. And if you look, if you turn the page again, I know I'm short on time here, so if you turn the page again, you're going to see a graph. The average density of houses in that neighborhood is 60 houses per block. You put 133 houses here, in addition to the 27 that are already there, it's going to be 160 houses. That's a 167% increase in housing density. This is not preserving community character. It's not enhancing community character. It's ruining the neighborhood. The 5,000 square foot lot, where I'm going to turn to the last page here, is the tiniest allowed lot size. It's the letter of the law in terms of the zoning. Oakdale Park is a good model that we might consider looking at. I want to make it clear, we're not, those of us who are opposed to this, we're not opposed to developing this. We just want it developed responsibly. Currently, the new lots are 1/9 of an acre at 5,000 square feet. Give them 1/4 of an acre, give them much bigger lots. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you listening. I'm done.
Questions?
Yeah.
So you say it would destroy community character.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you mainly talking about density of residents and lot size?
Currently, we're talking, and I realize we have acre lots. That's never going to happen again in Stillwater. And so it's unrealistic to expect that we would get acre lots zoned here. But this is one of the oldest neighborhoods, well-established neighborhoods in Stillwater, and there's lots of big lots, lots of elderly people, lots of young families like myself with kids. Putting this many houses in this area would not be at all congruent with the character that's currently in the neighborhood.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mike Hubbard?
Good evening. We live at the corner of Skyline and Sunrise, right across the street from the development. And I'll try not to repeat too many of what Beth, Simon, and Matthew have talked about, but we do need to highlight the fact that in addition to Sunrise Street being narrower than code, it's being already, Payne Street is already in need of repair. If you drive up and down that road, it's in horrible shape. It needs to be repaired now. So to hear the planning, or to hear the developer say, well, if there's a problem, we'll fix it, kind of flies in the face of logic because it already needs to be repaired. We also heard that it's not a problem to have 100 new houses right across the street from the junior high school. We already know that Skyline School, which is down the block, is overcrowded, or it will be overcrowded if you put 100 new houses and all the kids that will come along with it. We hear stories that people who aren't at enrollment day on the day of enrollment, even if they live on the street, can't get their kids into the street that's just down into the school that's just down the street. And finally, Simon touched on it very elegantly. This is inconsistent with the city's own vision for development of the city. So I just want to say that the 60 or so people who signed the letter that's in the document that you have on your website do live in the area, and we do know what's going on in the area. We do know that Payne Street needs to be replaced, fixed. We do know that Sunrise isn't right for an additional 100 houses worth of traffic, and we do know what the quality of that community is, that neighborhood is. And so I'm asking you that you reject this development as it's proposed.
Any questions? Thank you. That is everyone that has signed up to speak in opposition. Is anybody else in the audience want to speak in opposition to this? Anyone else want to speak? Yes. You'd give your name and address, I would appreciate it.
I'm Rita Miller at 1523 Skyline, and I'd just like you to be aware that the water pressure in our neighborhood is not good. So adding 133 extra homes is going to require extra infrastructure for the city to improve our water pressure. And I hope you would improve our water pressure before adding things that will even lower our water pressure more.
Thank you. Anybody else that'd like to speak in opposition to this? Give your name and address, I would appreciate it.
Linda Notareski, 1223 North Payne Street. I just want to point out that there is not a sidewalk on Payne Street, and children walk from school every day. So that would be a difficult situation. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else that'd like to speak in opposition? Not seeing one, I'll close this public hearing. Turn it back over to staff to make whatever comments they want to make.
Okay, I tried to take notes, and I am going to try to address some of the concerns here. If I miss any, please let me know. As for RJ,
use the microphone, we cannot hear her.
I am. I'm right in front of the microphone.
If you would speak up, I think the audience would appreciate it.
Oh, okay. I will try to. Thank you. RJ, whether rebuilding it, staff, we were over there talking whether it's a private or public street. On our GIS, it does show it's a City of Stillwater street. I don't know that there is any right-of-way. So that was something that we are going to have to look into. I don't know if the developer engineer has already done that or not. That's a question for Josh. I heard something about sidewalks on Jardo, and I didn't understand what the question was or the issue with that one, so I'm going to skip over that one. And I do know that there is a private sewer that the light industrial area, that zoning area has. And it does have a lift station, and it does come down along the east side of the property. As part of the improvements, the developer will be putting in public sewer lines. There is a Brush Creek trunk line over in the northeast area, and they will be going and connecting to that large trunk line. It was put in several years ago to handle development in the northeast part of the city. So they will be putting in those public sewer line for that. And I did hear a lot of questions about the drainage, whether detention ponds are going to handle it, that type of thing. And as I stated before, the preliminary drainage study and plan has been approved. We will get a final drainage study. There are state requirements that a developer has to meet for drainage. And we will not approve anything until he meets those requirements. So things may be changed. And we do have our development engineer here. If you have any questions about drainage or public improvements, he'll be glad to answer any of those questions also.
Is a transportation study required for this development?
Yes, and that will come in with the final plat. And any improvements that need to be made from that transportation study will be the responsibility of the developer, not the city.
The drainage study, will it come in with the final plat?
Yes, it will. Yes. There's a lot of things that have to come in with that final plat that are not actually required at this time with a preliminary plat.
Will a water study to look at water volumes and pressure be required
Yes,
at that final plat?
at final plat. And if there's any improvements to the system, like if they have clay pipes that are collapsing, the pipe isn't large enough, whatever the problem is, it's up to the developer to see that it is brought up to code to handle it.
If they're off-site improvements that are necessary, public improvements, the developer will have to do those off-site improvements.
That is correct.
Before they can build any structures.
That's correct. Yes, and the improvements have to be accepted, and the city accept the public improvements, the city council, before any building permits are permitted in that area. I did want to talk about the density and the lot size. I do realize that there are those lots are larger. Of course, this is an older, I'm not sure when these subdivisions went in. They could have gone in before we even had zoning regulations, I'm not sure. But one person made the statement about their area has 60 houses on a block. I counted the 2 blocks, full blocks in this area. One block has 41 lots and one has 42. So they are less. And I believe there is a difference between community and neighborhood. The community is the city as a whole, where a neighborhood is a smaller section of that community. And I would also like to point out about the density that this, they're not showing there we go. This area, this wide area that has, it's kind of hatched, that area, several years ago, a PUD, a planned unit development, was approved for that property, and it had duplexes, single-family homes, and apartments on it. So there is a possibility, it's already approved, that somebody can come in and construct that PUD, which will increase the density. I know the school probably is overcrowded. Stillwater is having the same issue as several of the surrounding communities with overcrowding in schools and trying to take care of that. Let's see. Oh, and I also wanted to let you know that I counted the lots that are 5,000 square feet in this. Out of 133, only 38 are 5,000 square feet. So all the lots are larger than what is required or what is permitted. Are there any questions so far? Because takes care about all my notes.
Access during construction.
All right, access.
There were a couple of 3 comments. One about their equipment,
about
parking them off-site.
And that may be something that our development engineer can talk about. But the first thing they will do is get a earth change permit. That equipment will be in there and gone, and then, the streets, the improvements is all they'll be putting in right now. They're not going to be building any houses or structures. I don't know what the requirement is that's a development engineer question, I'm sorry, about, I'm sure they're not going to allow blocking of the streets, especially during the school year and school.
The developer engineer stood up. I think he wants.
Here he comes.
I think he wants to
the
say
developer
something.
engineer. This is Mike Beatty.
I'm Mike Beatty. Construction, they'll have to provide a construction entrance when they start the grading on the lot, and they'll have to take all their equipment off the right-of-way. They won't be able to block the right-of-way. And there may be some period where they're unloading equipment to get it off. It'll be a temporary time, but they're not going to be allowed to park their vehicles on the right-of-way and block access.
Why they're widening and overlaying the street in the northeast corner. Charles was very concerned about access to his tenants.
Well,
Can they block that access?
They'll have to maintain access. And obviously, if you're repaving a section of roadway, there'll be times when you'll have to block temporary access. You just can't rebuild a road without and leave a certain section unimproved. But our requirements for any kind of reconstruction is that they maintain access or provide a temporary access while they're doing the improvement. But they're not going to be allowed to just block access to public right-of-way. Most of the construction will be taking place within the development, not outside the development. So they'll come in, build a construction entrance, get their equipment onto the site, start doing the grading, and they can store their equipment on site, not off-site.
What's the process if, like Mr. Alexander was talking about, when RJ gets widened or improved, and what's the recourse that tenant would have if they were completely blocked, something like that? Is that something they talk to the city?
Well, they talk to our department. We'll coordinate with transportation department. We've done several roadway reconstruction projects, and again, there are times when you might have a driveway blocked, and for a week or two while you're redoing that pavement, you might have to provide an alternate access for the folks using that. But it's not going to be a permanent, it shouldn't be a long-term thing. Anytime you do reconstruction, you got to tear the old stuff out, get it out of the way, and before you can put the new stuff in. Usually the access will be a temporary gravel driveway or gravel walkway or something to get people to the businesses while they're doing the construction in front of them. But it's not going to be, it's going to change, and that'll take a little bit of time.
Anybody else have any other questions?
There was one comment made about Payne Street already being in disrepair. If any more damage is done, who makes that call?
Our department will make it. Any construction activity that demolishes or destroys existing infrastructure, our final inspection or during the inspection process, we'll document that and have it repaired. Now, the existing Payne Street has some existing damage from poor drainage, poor base that may need some maintenance type work already. And that type of work would be the responsibility of the city. But any additional damage would be the responsibility of the developer. And we'll track that. We usually take pictures, document the condition of the roadway before they start, have several meetings throughout the project's progression, and make sure they're aware of that. And before we accept any of their improvements, they have to make sure that the existing infrastructure that they use to build their system meets or exceeds what was there before.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
All right, are there any other questions?
No other questions at this time. Once you finish, and then probably we'll have some more.
Okay. Okay, the alternatives are, number one, to accept staff's findings and find that the proposed Skyline East preliminary plat meets the review criteria and approve the proposed preliminary plat as presented. Number 2, find that additional information and/or discussion is needed prior to making a decision, and either continue to a certain date or table the decision. Or number 3, find that the proposed preliminary plat does not meet the review criteria and is not an appropriate use for the property, and deny the application. And this, I did want to point out that the preliminary plat does not go to the city council, so this is not a recommendation. It's approval or denial or whatever. The final plat does go to the city council.
Any other questions?
So will the final plat come back to us for another vote, or is this it?
I believe the final plat does come back to you, and then you make the recommendation to the city council.
Any other questions? Thank you very much. Planning Commission discussion? Discussion?
I'll start. I don't take these lightly when you think about development and changing the situation around one's home. And oftentimes their home is going to be the most expensive piece of anything that they'll ever buy. So I don't take it lightly in doing that. I actually know this area extremely well. I drop my daughter off at Skyline School every morning. So I travel these streets. I know them very well. One thing I like about this is that now that we've got a staggered drop-off time and pickup time, the junior high and Skyline don't drop off at the same time. So when I drop my daughter off, there's no one dropping off at the junior high at the same time, vice versa when we pick her up. So the traffic, granted there are 2 schools there, but the fact that they're not at the exact same time does make a difference. Other developments of similar size and density, I think that's the density and water are the 2 things that everybody's worried about. An area, East Ridge, which is just up north around the corner from this development, is a very similar density, very similar lot size. I believe they're 50, maybe 55 by 115. It's a very similar area, very similar capacity to what we have. Most of the best water, sewer, and everything is on the northeast side of Stillwater. We've got better capacity up there. Skyline's one of the best schools to get in and out of for traffic. So I don't say it lightly, but at this point, it's something I probably would be in favor of. Ruben.
Any other discussion?
I've heard a lot of the concerns from the residents. I've also heard from the staff that studies, reports, et cetera, will be developed with the final plat and submitted as part of that final plat that are to address the concerns. So again, with everything that I've heard at this point in time, I'd be willing to accept also, knowing that we have another opportunity to review the final plat and the studies at a later date.
Other discussion?
I think without the RJ Road giving access to Jardot, that would affect my feelings more so than they do now, because I think that really gives them the out that they would lack significantly without it. So I'm interested in that, but it satisfies the requirements at this point, at least for the initial. There's no change in zoning or anything. So I too feel like, for at this point at least, I'm sufficiently satisfied to let it proceed and then see what would come up from it.
I would agree. I think Patty answered all the questions I had.
Does anyone want to make a motion?
I move we accept staff findings that the proposed Skyline East preliminary plat meets the review criteria and approve the proposed preliminary plat as presented.
Second.
The motion passes. Item 5A, approval of the regular meeting summary of December 15, 2015. I hear a motion?
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion passes. Item 5B, approval of the regular meeting summary of January 19, 2016. Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
Second.
The motion passes. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
We are adjourned. Thank you.
Steal your input? Yeah, I'll make sure to pass those out. Got a lot of friends that are aching to go to that one. Let's move that to the Iron Month. If they had this.
Whether you are shopping, dining, or doing business in Stillwater, we would like to take the opportunity to let you know about public parking in 3 areas around Stillwater: downtown Stillwater, Campus Corner, and the Strip on Washington Street. In these areas, many of the free city parking spots, mostly in the street, are timed. Time ranges from 30 minutes to 3 hours Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., and these spaces are not timed on weekends and city-recognized holidays. The purpose for these timed parking spots is to give everyone equal opportunity to a parking space, which is not only good for other people visiting these areas, but is a benefit to the businesses in these areas as well. Now, say for instance you're cited for overtime parking as you're inside a business. Well, instead of paying the $10 citation, you can easily bring it back to one of more than 200 businesses in these 3 areas to have the ticket validated. All you have to do is give them the ticket and that's it. They'll take care of the rest. For more information about public parking spaces, the validation program, or tickets, call the municipal court at the City of Stillwater at 405-742-8255 or visit stillwater.org.
This is Kyle Gibbs with the Stillwater Police Department. When parking in a timed parking space around Stillwater, you may notice a chalk mark on your tire. Parking enforcement uses the chalk marks to monitor vehicles. A parking attendant will mark a vehicle and return later to see if the mark is still present. If your parking time is almost up, move your vehicle to another spot. The attendant will notice the mark changed and faded and will not write a citation. If your parking time is almost up, do not